Hello everyone, welcome to episode 208 of Show Fever. Today we'll be going over Doom the Dark Ages Revelations, which is the DLC to Doom the Dark Ages. So, I guess I'll kind of just break this down, because, the story isn't anything too crazy, but we do get a lot of lore through the Codex pages and all that. So I'll just kind of give you a brief run through the story. So, see, as Doom Guy, who we actually learn in this game's name is Flynn Taggart, but I also call him Doom Guy because Doom Guy's a lot cooler. But we see as Doom Guy ultimately is sent by the Con Maker, who is not the Con Maker that's in Doom Eternal, because we learn through Codex pages that the Cons, I guess, essentially summon a Maker every 10,000 years or so. And therefore, this one is a different Con Maker. But we see is this Con Maker ultimately ends up sending Doom Guy to go deal with this High Council in Hell to help Argent D'Nor and all that, and the Sentinels, obviously. So we see as he is sent to this High Council, but once he gets there, he ultimately realizes that, this is a little bit more than I was planning on. And we see he gets to the High Council, and this character by the name of Belias, also known as the Henchman, ends up, getting killed by Doom Guy, but then, due to his loyalty, the High Council resurrects him into this big behemoth who ultimately, essentially, kills Doom Guy. It isn't not a kill, but they beat him up pretty bad. And also one character who will become important throughout is Marak, and Marak was sent, it's Marak, yeah. He was sent along with us to kind of help with this, but ultimately he didn't, do anything. But yeah, so after this, we see as Doom Guy is ultimately defeated and then drugged down to Purgatory beneath the, establishment of the High Council. Not the establishment, but the residing place, the residence of the High Council. So we see as he's drugged down to Purgatory, and he must fight his way out of Purgatory. So we see as he ends up going about fighting along, and we in fact learn that the Con Maker is evil, because we see that she ultimately ends up killing King Novik with the help of Marak, who she is corrupted with magic. And then we also get to see throughout as Doom Guy has a couple of flashbacks where we see that in his Marine days, at one point he was helping to raid a hospital because of terrorists or something in it. And he ultimately ended up doing this pretty successfully, but he feels guilt because once he got to his final portion of essentially blowing up this hospital because of its uses, and they presumed that all the civilians had been evacuated, but when he was just leaving, he saw that there was a young girl in there with a little rabbit plush, and she in fact did not get out. So he felt immense guilt for this, and kind of went a little bit off the rails after this. And so then we see as that's kind of progress through, because there's predominantly 3 parts of that, and we see it progress through each levels, because there are technically 6 levels, there's 5 major levels, technically 6 levels, like I said. You have Purgatory itself, which is a level because it has enemies and there's collectibles all throughout it. Then you have Oset. That's technically not in order, but the Proving Ground, which is kind of like the first level you do. Then you have what's the name of the first level? Oh, dang. Why am I forgetting? It's the one that I wasn't massive on. The Core of Hell. Then you have Chasm of Zalgoroth, I believe it is. And then you have Osseus, Osseus. And then you have Argent D'Nor as the final kind of level of the game. But yeah, so, you can just play through that, and ultimately you end up getting out of Purgatory with the help of the Architect, who is a demon, but he was the one who created Purgatory, yet he put a failsafe in it, so that anyone could escape, because he knew that once he got done creating Purgatory, that the High Council would kill him. Kind of like how Maegor the Cruel did in Game of Thrones, or A Song of Ice and Fire. Technically the book was Blood and Fire, but yeah, how Maegor the Cruel did with the Red Keep. After everyone who built the Red Keep, he killed them all. And then we kind of did a similar idea with the High Council, because after they got their use out of the Architect, they killed him and banished him. But he was able to he knew this setup and he knew their plan, so he built in failsafes, which is collecting these amulets, not amulets really, but gemstones for this piece called the Oracle, and once you had collected all of them, you could ultimately escape Purgatory. And Doom Guy, in fact, does this with the help of the the Architect, because he kind of leads him throughout all this, gives him weapons, help, and stuff like that. And Doom Guy actually does not end up killing the Architect in the end, because the Architect helped him. So finally, once you escape Purgatory, you head over to Argent D'Nor, and we see then as we go confront the Con Maker, we reveal to Thera that her father, King Novik, is dead. And also the major boss battle for the escaping Purgatory was Marak. and you do have to kill Marok because he has been corrupted by the Khan Maker, and we don't actually see as this is revealed to Valen, who is his father, but we can presume that it probably was. But yeah, so Sidious ultimately confront the Khan Maker, and then they had prepared for this. The Sentinels had actually prepared for this, so they executed Plan Ash, which was essentially to make all Khans antagonist enemies, to vilify all the Khans. Therefore, they were going to be eradicated, like some Order 66 stuff. So, see, this plan plays out, and ultimately the Khan Maker is able to escape, so you do not kill the Khan Maker in Revelations. However, you do end up running into the henchman after he is summoned by the Khan Maker, because the Khan Maker tries to blame Doomguy and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, he's too dead set on defeating his enemy to allow coexistence in peace. However, we know that the demons and the Sentinels would never coexist in peace, and ultimately she ends up bringing out the henchman or Belias once again to fight Doomguy. Ultimately, you end up beating Belias, and then that's ball game essentially. But yeah, so that's kind of the main story. Again, I'll kind of discuss the other stuff and other bosses in my, I guess, discussion of the extras. So I guess I'll kind of get into the Codex page lore stuff. So like I said, the Khan Maker stuff that we learned was Codex page, and we actually learned a little bit more about Flynn here, or Doomguy. So we learned that also the discussion of like the architect stuff was also Codex, and we see as Marok actually breaks down and how he so slowly is corrupted by the Khan Maker through her powers, and that is in the Codex. And we also get to see a little bit of a breakdown of the High Council, but it's not really pertinent to the story, and it's nothing super interesting. But I guess another big thing that we learn is the Flynn stuff. So we see that Flynn, after having partook in this, he ultimately, like I said, went off the deep end, and then got sent to Mars for his insubordination. And so once he got there, we see as he's relatively chill, but he requests a therapy rabbit, like he did. It states that he had done this prior. He didn't want a dog; he wanted a rabbit. And so we see he gets his rabbit, and that's the rabbit we can presume that is killed, which leads to the events of like Doom 93 and all of that. So that is kind of the story of Flynn Taggart. We also get to see as he beats up this what we call a little Nepo baby in the army multiple times. Not necessarily beats up, but kind of disregards and undermines this little Nepo baby, and he gets all butthurt about it and keeps sending in reports, and that's actually how we know about the stuff that happened. But yeah, so the Codex obviously is always a great piece of like information. It is also a collectible. Well, the Codex pages are collectibles, but the Codex I always love reading through it, especially when it's in shorter increments, like with DLC. So yeah, I loved the Codex here, and it gave us a lot of important lore that you didn't really get in the story. Like you would have not known Doomguy's name if you hadn't read the Codex. But yeah, so then after that, I guess I kind of discussed the collectibles. So you have Codex pages, relics, which ultimately end up giving you like platinum and stuff like that, or the currency. And you also have toys as per usual. I believe there's only like 4 new unique toys because there's only like 4 new unique enemies. But they're all great. Always love the toys in Doom because they're such a juxtaposition to like the gritty Doom slaying activities that are going on. You get this little toy, and I love how Doomguy usually kind of messes with them a little bit. That's always super cool. But yeah, Codex pages, toys, relics, and think that is it. Obviously, life sigils. But yeah, so that's kind of all there really is for collectibles. The collectibles weren't too hard to get. They're kind of super. Oh yeah, weapon skins too. But they were, I mean, not tedious at all to collect. I really enjoyed collecting them. And also, like, getting all of the currency, like I think it's the platinum or iron, whatever the bars are that you collect. They were also not tedious to collect at all. Like, I got most of them either in my first run through of a level or very soon in my second one. So, that's all there really is for collectibles wise. Now, I guess I'll kind of get into what my favorite level was. Now, my favorite level I would probably say is Osis, or however you say it, because it was just super cool. It was a desert level, and I just really enjoyed seeing it. Now, also, the Chasm of Zolgoroth is a sick level too, because like you're moving around a lot of it. It's got a very cool aesthetic, though it is relatively simplistic, and I did very much so enjoy that. Also, music. Doom is known for its music. The music is always like ear-quakingly phenomenal. Like I always loved the music in Doom, and it was phenomenal here. I enjoyed it so much. It was great. It'll have you feeling like you're the Doom Slayer. That's what I love about Doom music, is it makes you feel like you should be ripping and tearing, or that you are ripping and tearing. But yeah, so then I guess I'll kind of discuss the extra content, because holy smokes, you had a plethora of extra content here. So, with beating the game, that's only like a, a handful. That's like half the DLC. The other half is in-game stuff. Because once you beat that level, well, once you beat like the game technically, you can then just go on and rebeat the game with different challenges with the in-game stuff. Because once you get to the in-game stuff, what you have are you have Predator Challenge, Predator Challenges. I think they're Rune Challenges is what they're called, and then Doom, like classic Doom challenges. I love the classic Doom challenges. They weren't hard, but they threw like new modern day graphics into a obviously Doom 93 realm essentially. On the world, the landscape was based off the aesthetics of Doom 93. However, all of the models, characters, renders, stuff like that were 3D and high quality, obviously. But I love that the backgrounds were like a perfected Doom 93, Doom 2 kind of era looking. Also, Doom 64. But yeah, so I really enjoyed those levels. They were super fun. And I love the classic Doom games, and especially the aesthetic of them. And so it was just great to see this return. I would honestly play a whole game if it just looked like this. Because, yeah, though the 3D models, like the fully 3D models, very high quality models, kind of stand out with the backgrounds, it still looks cool, and I very much so enjoyed it, especially with the 93 shotgun. But yeah, so then you also have the Predator challenges. The Predator challenges are hard. They are super hard, and they probably took me the longest out of all of like the specific challenges in this game, because or at least in this DLC, because they were generally like challenging at points. And I'd always get to a point where that almost in all of them there's an archvile, and archvile is like the most annoying, I think, new enemy. I mean, it's not new for the Doom series, but like new in Doom the Dark Ages, and like not character, but enemy in this entire DLC, because they're so annoying. They have so much HP, and like they're not really hard to deal with, but they summon like wraiths that are essentially demons, but just a little bit weaker. So it's very hard to fight them. Also, the I believe they're called buzzsaws. They are very difficult to fight as well. They're another new enemy, but they're less difficult, I'd say, than the archviles. But yeah. Also, we get some lore on them as well. Like the buzzsaws, they were essentially just crafted by the demons, but the archviles are like disgraced demonic nobility, which is kind of cool to see that. But yeah, so what was I talking about? Rune challenge. Rune challenge is the next one. The rune challenges, they were kind of just pretty easy. They were unique though. They gave like specific little criteria you had to get. Multiple of them were just kill all the demons, but some of them were like destroy artillery cannons in a certain amount of time, or do this or do that in a certain amount of time. So that was fun to see. But yeah, so that was kind of all the extra stuff you got with the in-game stuff. Now, you could, like, get extra upgrades to your spear, which I'll discuss later on, and your chainsaw shield, and obviously your health, ammo, and shield. But yeah, so, what next? Let's see. Oh yeah, the master challenges. So the master challenges are another thing you unlock after you unlock more challenges after beating all the in-game challenges already. But the master challenges aren't super difficult. Like they didn't take me too long at all. I'd say, probably not even 2 hours, and they're just high difficulty challenges that you can do afterwards. They're fun. I enjoyed them. They have nice little individual levels, but not really levels. They're kind of more arenas because they aren't like the full breadth of a level. But yeah, they were super fun to do. Very high adrenaline, high pace, just ripping and tearing, like I said. Just very enjoyable. But yeah, once you get done with those, that's pretty much it for the content, like new content for Doom the Dark Age Revelations. However, that is not to say that there's little content, because I 100% in both the main story like a while back and now the DLC of Doom the Dark Ages, and it legit almost took me the same amount of time to 100% the DLC as it did to 100% the main game. Because it took me 25 hours to 100% the main game. However, it took me 17 hours to 100% this DLC for only $20. That is a steal for this DLC, because it is great, super fun. You get a bunch of new stuff, and it's just really, really enjoyable. Like I said. Now, speaking of new stuff, you get 2 new weapons in this game. Now, these 2 new weapons are the Spear, which is... I didn't like it at first, but once I changed my button combos, it was a lot more fun to play with, and I predominantly used it as compared to the Saw, or the Shield Saw, throughout the game. And it's just kind of super fun because of how like the parrying and the dodging works. You get like a dash ability with it. Also, I love kind of like the slash that you get, and then also the power abilities that you can get with it. Because like if you dodge or parry attacks, you build up this little meter, and then you can hit like a slam attack, a throw attack, or like a thrust. So I just really enjoyed doing that. The thrust was super useful, and so the spear itself was pretty fun to use. Then the next one you get is the 93 shotgun. Now it is another kind of ultimate weapon along with the BFC, and it is fun to play with. Obviously, the 93 shotgun is super fun, and it's a nice little homage to obviously the 93 Doom, the original Doom. But yeah, so that's what there really is for new weapons. Now, what else was there? I really can't think of it. Obviously, the art with the graphics were great as per usual. We did get a bit of a prelude into other stuff that may happen in the Dooms to come, but like it was nothing major. Obviously, we know that the Con Maker's still out there, and we also saw that Valen might be getting corrupted a little bit because he was hearing voices, and then Thera walked in and handed him Novik's axe. And yeah, so I presume that Valen is becoming the king of the Sentinels and of Argent D'Nur after this, but I don't know necessarily. But yeah, so I think that's all there really was for the new Doom: The Dark Ages Revelations DLC. Because I cannot think of anything else. I went over the music, I went over all the power ups and stuff like that. So yeah, I really think that's it. So yeah, like I said, that's all there really is for the Doom: The Dark Ages Revelations DLC, and that's all I really have for episode 208 of Shelf Review. So thank you very much for watching.